Welcome back to this deep dive.
Hey there.
Today, we're really getting into something core to everyday English, phrasal verbs.
Yeah, absolutely. They're everywhere.
Our source is that YouTube video, 300 English phrasal verbs for everyday life by J. Forrest English.
It's a great resource. Lots in there.
And our mission, well, it isn't just to give you a huge list. That'd be overwhelming, right?
Totally. The goal is more about understanding how they work, getting that feel for them.
Exactly. Why they matter and, help you use them more naturally.
And understand them when you hear them, especially with fast speakers. That's key.
Right. Because native speakers use them constantly.
They do. And if you want your own English to sound, well, less like a textbook,
Yeah. More like real conversation.
then this is really important stuff. We're hoping to give you some of those moments.
Beyond just memorizing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Deeper understanding.
Okay, so let's kick things off. How about we look at changing opinions first and communicating clearly?
Good starting point.
First one up. Come around to.
Yes, come around to. It basically means changing your mind, shifting your perspective on something.
Like you weren't convinced at first.
Exactly. You might have been reluctant, maybe about a new job, like in the example.
Oh, right. You hear about the benefits and you start thinking differently.
Yeah, you gradually accept it. You come around to the idea.
Or maybe visiting a place you didn't want to move to, like Boston in the example, and then you actually like it.
Right. You've come around. And notice, you can say come around to the idea, or if we already know what we're talking about, just come around.
So it's flexible.
It is. Depends on the context.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a softening of your stance.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's get across. This one's all about communication, right?
Yeah, making sure your message actually lands, that the other person truly gets it.
Like the example with the client, you need to get across that the project's over budget.
Precisely.
All right.
It's not just saying the words, it's ensuring understanding, that registration of the key point.
And people sometimes say, what I'm trying to get across is...
Yes. That's a great flag. It signals you're maybe rephrasing or emphasizing something crucial, trying to bridge a gap.
Got it. Let me make sure this is clear.
Basically, yeah. Effective communication.
Now, show off. This one's interesting. It can be good or bad.
It really can. It depends so much on the situation, the context.
Usually if you say don't show off, that's negative, like stop bragging.
Right. It implies boasting, maybe trying too hard to impress, perhaps out of insecurity.
But like the video points out, what about a job interview?
Well, exactly. You have to highlight your skills, your achievements. You need to show off a bit, but in a professional, positive way.
It's expected in that context.
Or like in an English exam, IELTS, for instance. You need to demonstrate your range. Show what you can do.
So it's about intent and appropriateness, showing skills versus just, empty boasting.
Perfectly put. Context is everything.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Thinking about trust relationships. First up, count on.
Count on. Such a fundamental one. It's about trust, reliability.
Like rely on or depend on.
Yes, those are great synonyms. Count on often feels a bit more personal, maybe.
Possibly. Like trusting Selma to stay late in that example.
Right. And that direct question and answer, can I count on you? Absolutely, you can count on me. That really seals the deal.
Establishes that trust, clearly.
It's that verbal confirmation of reliability.
Okay. Next, come between. This sounds like trouble.
It often is, yeah. It talks about something or someone disrupting a relationship, getting in the middle.
I like the example with Sylvie coming between Jacob and Marcus's friendship.
Right. A person interfering.
Yeah.
But it's not always a person, is it?
What do you mean?
Well, think about things like a big promotion or a demanding job or different political views or money issues, even family stuff.
I see. So non-personal things can also drive people apart.
Exactly. They can come between friends, partners, family members. It's not always intentional interference.
That really highlights the different pressures on relationships. Okay, then put up with. And this one has that two preposition structure.
It does. Put up with. It means to tolerate something, usually something annoying or unpleasant.
Like the difficult boss example. Constant criticism or bad jokes.
Yeah, unfortunately relatable for some. You tolerate it, you endure it, you put up with it.
And people often say, I'm not going to put up with this anymore.
Absolutely. That's setting a boundary, saying your tolerance level has been reached.
Right. Okay, section 3, recovery, bad behavior, and formal rules. Starting with bounce back.
Bounce back. I like this one. It suggests resilience, recovery.
Getting back up after a setback.
Precisely. Could be in business, like recovering from a bad sales quarter.
Or personally, like getting better after surgery.
Right. It took me a while to bounce back after my surgery. It captures that feeling of returning to normal, regaining strength or stability.
The spirit of recovery, I like that.
Me too. Then we have act up.
Which can mean a couple of things, right?
It can. Depends on who or what is acting up. If it's children.
They're misbehaving, like when they're tired and get cranky.
Exactly. Behaving badly. But if it's your car,
Then it's not working properly, like it won't start.
right, it's malfunctioning. So the context, person, or thing tells you the meaning.
Makes sense. Okay, next up. Formal acceptance, sudden realizations, tricky achievements. First is abide by.
Abide by. This one sounds quite formal, and it is.
It's about following rules.
Yes, but more than just following. It implies accepting and adhering to formal rules, laws, regulations, or decisions.
Like a tourist having to abide by the laws of the country they're visiting.
Exactly. Or accepting a court's decision. You agree to follow it, there's a sense of obligation.
Respecting the official framework.
Formal compliance.
Then dawn on, this is about realization.
Yes, but a specific kind. It's that sudden moment of understanding, like a light bulb switching on.
The aha moment.
Precisely. The structure's usually, it dawned on me that. Something suddenly became clear.
Like the example of realizing you need a completely different career.
Yeah. Something clicks, and you finally understand or see something you hadn't before.
A moment of clarity? Cool. And then pull off.
Pull off.
Yeah.
This means succeeding at something difficult or unlikely.
Something you weren't sure was possible.
Exactly. Like the wedding planner example. Planning a huge wedding in just 3 weeks. That's tough.
You might think, wow, I don't know if I can pull this off.
Right. And if you do succeed, you might say, I can't believe I pulled that off.
That sense of surprise and accomplishment against the odds.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, next section. Let's talk about broken commitments, silence, and thinking things over, starting with back out of.
Back out of. This definitely implies failing to keep a promise or commitment.
Like the client who agreed to something and then changed their mind last minute.
Yeah, they backed out of the agreement. You withdraw from something you previously committed to.
And you mentioned the grammar, it's back out of something.
Yes, that of is important when you name the thing being abandoned, the agreement, the project, the plan.
Got it. Then clam up. What a visual.
Isn't it? Like a clam shutting its shell tight. It means suddenly becoming silent, unable or unwilling to speak.
Often because of nerves, like public speaking.
That's a classic example. You get on stage and just clam up. Your mind goes blank.
And the advice.
Take a deep breath. Sometimes just pausing helps reset things.
Good practical tip. Okay, and mull over.
Mull over. This means to think about something carefully, to consider it.
Like taking time to reflect.
Exactly, not making a snap decision. Maybe someone suggests a new tool in a meeting.
You might say, okay, interesting, give me a few days to mull it over.
Precisely. Or if you're considering a big deal, I need to mull the deal over before I commit. It's about thoughtful consideration.
Turning it over in your mind. All right, moving on. How situations develop, talking too much and falling asleep briefly. First, pan out.
Pan out. This is about how a situation develops or what the final result is, especially when it was uncertain.
Like you're not sure how things will end up.
Right. Maybe a company merger is happening and you wonder how it will pan out.
And it might not go as planned.
Often, yeah. The merger didn't pan out as we had expected. It acknowledges the outcome, whether good or bad.
Seeing how the cards fall, basically.
Kinda, yeah. How it unfolds.
Okay. Then ramble on. We all know someone who does this. Maybe we do it ourselves sometimes.
Probably. Ramble on means talking for a long time, but without really getting to the point, often in a disorganized way.
And it's usually negative when we use it.
Oh, definitely. It's usually a complaint. He just rambled on for an hour and confused everyone.
It implies the talking was excessive and maybe pointless.
Loses the audience.
For sure. A reminder to stay focused.
Good point. And lastly here, nod off.
Not off. That's falling asleep briefly, usually unintentionally.
Like in a really boring meeting.
Classic example. Your head starts to droop. You nod off for a second.
Or more seriously, while driving.
Yes, very dangerous. The example mentioned using loud music to avoid nodding off. It's that brief, involuntary slip into sleep. Okay, next set. Luck, being overcharged, and things getting old. Starting with luck out.
Luck out. This is pure good fortune, being really lucky in a specific situation.
Like finding a bargain. Getting the last one on sale.
Exactly. You totally lucked out. Or finding a parking spot downtown right away during rush hour.
The dream. So it's unexpected good fortune.
That's it. A lucky break.
And then rip off. This sounds negative.
It is. To rip someone off means to charge them way too much money for something.
Making them pay more than it's worth?
Exactly. You feel cheated. That guy totally ripped me off.
And accusing someone can cause problems.
Oh yeah, she told everyone I ripped her off. It's a strong accusation about unfair pricing.
It hits that sense of fairness.
Definitely. And then wear out.
This is about things getting old and damaged.
Yes. Through use or age, like your favorite pair of shoes.
The tennis shoes example, playing all summer and they just wear out.
Right. They become damaged, weakened, maybe unusable.
Mm.
And we also use the adjective form a lot. My shoes are worn out.
The result of time and use.
Exactly.
All right. Almost there. Let's look at preparing documents, stress, and admiration. First, draw up.
Draw up. This is specifically about preparing formal, official documents.
Like contracts, legal papers.
Precisely. You'd ask a lawyer to draw up a contract or a will, or you wait for the bank to draw up the mortgage agreement.
The language of official paperwork.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay. Then burn out. A very relevant term these days.
Sadly, yes. Burnout is that state of complete exhaustion, mental, physical, emotional, usually from long-term stress.
Can be from work.
Absolutely. Or caring for a family, like the example of aging parents.
Mm-hmm.
Or just prolonged difficult situations like, the pandemic.
It's that feeling of being totally depleted.
Yeah. Having nothing left. It's serious.
Definitely. And the last one in this group, look up to.
Look up to. This is straightforward. It means to admire or respect someone.
Like a role model.
Could be. Looking up to a parent, a mentor, a teacher, even a boss you really admire.
You hold them in high regard.
Exactly. Look up to someone.
Cool.
Simple structure.
Great. Penultimate section. Working harder, focusing, starting discussions. First, step up.
Step up. Often used as step it up. It means to increase your effort, to try harder, work harder.
Especially when needed, like meeting a deadline.
Right. We really need to step it up if we're going to finish on time.
And you sometimes hear, step it up a notch.
Yeah. Just means increase the effort a little bit.
Yeah.
Improve performance.
Got it. Elevate your game. Then hone in on. Another two-preposition one.
It is. Hone in on. This means to focus very specifically on something. To really zero in.
Like targeting a specific group.
Exactly. Focusing marketing efforts on small business owners. Or focusing a presentation on just South America.
That on is key.
Crucial. You hone in on something.
Yeah.
Laser focus.
Okay. And bring up.
Bring up. This means to introduce a topic into a discussion. To start talking about something specific.
Like in a meeting, does anyone have anything they want to bring up?
Perfect example. Or maybe after a meeting, thinking, I didn't get a chance to bring up my proposal.
Initiating that part of the conversation.
Yep. Opening the floor for a topic.
Okay, last section. Convincing someone and staying put. First, talk into.
Talk into. This means persuading someone to do something.
Especially if they were maybe a bit hesitant at first.
Often, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The structure is talk someone into doing something. Like being talked into helping a friend move when you didn't really want to.
Happens. Or the team talking someone into bringing up a tricky subject.
Right. There's an element of persuasion or convincing involved.
Making the case.
Mm-hmm. And finally, stick around.
This just means stay somewhere.
Pretty much. Stay in a place for a while, not leave yet.
Could be positive, like, this park is nice, let's stick around longer.
Sure. Or it could be about limitations. Sorry, I can't stick around too long, I have to go. It's just about remaining in that location.
Simple enough. Wow, that was quite a tour.
It was, but you can see, right? These phrasal verbs add so much nuance.
Definitely. They're not just random words thrown together. They carry specific feelings, specific contexts.
Exactly. And understanding that, the sort of underlying meaning and situation, that's much more powerful than just memorizing a list.
It really helps you get how people actually talk.
And hopefully helps you use them more confidently, too.
So for you listening, maybe think about which of these really stood out.
Yeah, which ones do you hear a lot? Or which ones describe situations you've been in?
How could focusing on just, say, 2 or 3 of these change how you listen or speak in English?
Could it open up a new level of understanding? Or maybe make your own speaking feel a bit more natural?
And maybe think about what other parts of English vocabulary or grammar even you're curious about. What would you like to dive into next time?
Yeah, what sparks your curiosity for another deep dive? You know that feeling when you're speaking English and you just wish it flowed a bit more, More natural.
Yeah, like how native speakers often chat. Less formal, maybe. It's definitely a big part of feeling truly fluent.
Exactly. Moving past just the textbook sentences. And that's kind of our goal today.
Right.
We've got this great source. It's about 3 hours of English vocabulary from J. Forrest English. Now, 3 hours, that's a chunk of time, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, fantastic resource, loads in there. But wading through all of it, that can feel pretty overwhelming.
Totally. So think of this as your, let's say, guided tour. Your shortcut. We've done the sifting for you.
Picking out the highlights, the really useful bits.
Yep, to bring you those key things that'll genuinely help you sound more natural. So our mission here is exploring some advanced vocabulary from that video. And we're going to start with phrasal verbs.
Phrasal verbs. Always a big one for learners.
They are. The video also does adjectives, idioms, which are great too, obviously. But for efficiency, we're diving deep into phrasal verbs first. Get the most, bang for your learning buck straight away. Okay, phrasal verbs. They can seem a bit tricky sometimes, like little puzzles.
Verb plus preposition, meaning changes.
Yeah. But getting a handle on them is so key for sounding natural, especially just, everyday chatting. Let's kick off with ones about people, relationships, stuff we all deal with.
Good place to start. Very practical.
First one, ask someone out.
Okay, yeah, common one. It just means inviting someone on a date. What's interesting, the source, J. Forrest, points out it's basically always seen as romantic.
Always, even like just grabbing coffee.
According to the video, yep, the intention behind asking out is framed as romantic.
Huh, okay, good nuance. So the example was, why hasn't Jim asked Maria out yet? He's obviously into her.
Yeah.
Clear picture.
And that perfectly sets up the next one.
You've been to someone something.
Exactly. Be into someone is just a really casual way to say you like them romantically, much less stuffy than I have feelings for Maria.
Definitely sounds more natural.
Yeah. So Jim is into Maria, but crucially, you can also be into something, like your hobbies, interests. You could be into hiking or into video games.
Right, so it's a general liking or interest. Okay, so let's say Jim plucks up the courage, asks Maria out, but maybe it doesn't go his way.
Well, then she might turn him down.
Turn him down.
Yeah, another very common everyday way to say reject an invitation or reject an offer. So Maria turns Jim down.
Out.
And the source mentioned you often hear it passively, like, I asked her out, but I got turned down, or just, I was turned down.
Right, makes it sound a little less harsh, maybe?
Perhaps, yeah. So poor Jim's feeling a bit rubbish now. What might a friend do?
Could have left his spirits.
Exactly. They'd try to cheer him up, make him feel happier. You hear it as a command sometimes, right? Like, oh, cheer up. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, definitely.
But also describing an action. I took my friend out for lunch to cheer her up. It feels quite warm, direct.
Nice. Okay, but what about the flip side? If something makes you feel, well, not cheered up.
Then something might bring you down.
Bring someone down. Okay.
Yeah, it means it makes you unhappy or it lowers your mood. Maybe a sad movie brings you down or, difficult news or even a person. My boss really brings me down sometimes.
Got it. So it implies that shift from okay or happy to not.
Precisely.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Talk practicalities. Moving stuff, moving people, logistics. What are the key phrasal verbs there?
Oh, definitely. We've got a pair that are just fundamental. First, pick something up.
Pick up. Yeah.
It just means collect or take someone or something from a place. Can you pick up the kids? Need to pick up milk. We say it constantly.
It's so common you barely even think of it as a phrasal verb sometimes.
Exactly. It's just how you say it. And the opposite action.
Dropping them off.
You got it. Drop something off. Leave them at a specific place. I'll drop you off at the station. Can you drop this letter off at the post office?
They're like two sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah.
Pick up, drop off. Constant movement.
Daily life. Now, related to dropping things off, what about those lovely forms we sometimes have to deal with?
Forms. Don't remind me.
Yeah. Well, here's a useful tip from the source. When you're talking about forms, there's basically no difference between fill in and fill out.
Really? No difference at all?
None that matters in everyday use. You can say fill in this form or fill out this form. Both are perfectly fine, used interchangeably.
All right. That's actually good to know. One less thing to worry about.
Right. And then, of course, once you've filled in or out, you might drop it off at reception. See? Using the other one again.
Connecting it back. Nice. Okay, one more in this practical set. Finding things out.
Yes. find out. It means to learn something, discover information, understand something new. It sounds much more natural than constantly saying discover or learn.
Yeah, discover sounds a bit formal for everyday chat.
It can, yeah. So the example brings Jim back again. He might ask someone, how did you find out Maria turned me down? How did you learn this news?
Got it. That sense of discovery or learning. Okay, moving on. Let's look at phrasal verbs describing, like, changes or how things resolve in the end.
Yes, outcomes. And there's a really brilliant one for this. End up.
End up.
It's fantastic for talking about the final result, especially when it wasn't maybe the original plan or after a series of events. It shows where you, ended up.
Right, like the conclusion of a little story.
Exactly. The example was Jim ended up asking Maria out, even though he was nervous. It implies that final action after some hesitation or process.
Yeah, I can see how that's useful. We weren't sure where to eat, but we ended up getting pizza.
Perfect example. It just describes the final decision or situation.
So the J-Force video we're using, it has quizzes in it too, which is pretty helpful for checking you've got it.
Yeah, quizzes are great for reinforcement. Let's maybe just quickly run through a few from the first quiz, just to give people more examples.
Sure, good idea. First one that came up was bear with someone.
Bear with me.
Right. It means be patient. You hear it all the time in customer service, don't you? Please bear with me while I check that.
Definitely. Every time you call a helpline.
Pretty much. The source also flags the irregular past tense bore and warns against confusing it with born, B-O-R-N.
Ah, good point. Easy mistake to make. What else?
Attend to. This one's interesting because attend usually means go to, like attend a meeting. But attend to means deal with or pay attention to.
So different meanings.
Completely. You attend a party, but you attend to a problem. Or attend to the guests, meaning look after them.
Okay, subtle but important. Got it.
Then cool down. Pretty straightforward, become less angry.
Calm down, basically.
Yeah, regain your composure. Like, I need to cool down before I reply to this angry email.
Good life advice, generally.
Isn't it just fix up? Means repair or improve something, like fixing up an old car or house.
Exactly. Fixing up your flat, fixing up a broken bike, making it better.
Handy. Okay.
Hash out! This is a good one for work, maybe. It means discuss something in detail to reach an agreement or find a solution.
Like hashing out the details of a plan.
Precisely. Let's hash out this problem.
Right. Getting it all agreed.
Then lighten up. Quite informal. Means be less serious.
What you might say to someone who's being a bit too intense.
Yeah. Oh, lighten up. It's just a game. That kind of thing.
Okay. We probably all need that sometimes.
Probably. Pay off. This is about seeing the positive results of effort.
Like, all that study paid off, I passed the exam.
Exactly. Or, my diet is finally paying off. You see the benefit of the work you put in.
Nice feeling when that happens.
Definitely. Rule out. This means eliminate something as a possibility or prevent it.
Like the weather ruled out a picnic.
Perfect. Or the example used was how COVID ruled out travel for a long time. Makes it impossible.
Yeah, unfortunately, very clear example.
Then choose someone out. This one's quite strong.
Sounds it.
It means to tell someone off angrily because they did something wrong, like a boss chewing out an employee for being late again.
Not pleasant. You need to cool down after that, maybe.
Oh, exactly. Connects back. And the last one from that quiz section. Settle in.
Settle in, like in a new place.
Yeah, get comfortable and used to a new environment, a new house, new job, new city. People will ask, have you settled in yet? Meaning, are you feeling comfortable now?
Finding your feet.
That's a great way to put it, finding your feet.
Wow, okay. So that's quite a tour through just some of the phrasal verbs from this J. Forrest English deep dive.
Yeah.
Focusing on how they pop up in real situations, making things sound any more natural.
Absolutely. And hopefully you can see how just grabbing even a few of these can really start to shift how fluent and comfortable your English sounds. There's such common building blocks.
Yeah, they really are everywhere once you start noticing them. We've obviously just scratched the surface of that 3-hour resource today, really tried to pull out the practical stuff for you.
And the idea is for you to think, okay, which of these could I actually use? Which ones feel relevant to the kinds of conversations you have?
Right. Maybe start small, try and weave one or two into your speaking practice, see how it feels.
Oh, exactly.
And on that note, here's a little something to chew on. Think about a conversation you had recently, maybe today, yesterday. Could any of these phrasal verbs we talked about have fit in there?
Could you have maybe swapped out a more formal word for one of these? Which one kind of clicked for you, made you think, okay, that's a natural way to say that?
Yeah, which one resonated? It's a good exercise.
It is. And remember, this dive focused on phrasal verbs, but that original video has adjectives and idioms too. Loads more to explore.
Definitely. So if you're keen, the full resource is out there. But hopefully this gives you a really solid, practical starting point with those phrasal verbs. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've got this fantastic collection of English learning resources you shared with us. And today, we're going to, unpack the really valuable stuff.
Yeah, try and pull out the best bits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're looking at vocabulary building, getting more nuanced.
Yeah.
Advanced grammar, like in daily routines.
Yeah.
Smart negotiation phrases, which everyone needs.
Definitely.
New ways to say everyday things like, I think, or goodbye, and wow, this huge list of idioms.
Yeah, it's quite the list. But our goal here, our mission for you, is really to give you practical tools, things you can use right away.
Right, to boost that fluency.
Exactly. Moving past just basic words,
Yeah.
giving you the language and the strategies native speakers actually use in different situations.
Absolutely. It is quite a bit to cover, but think of us as your guides.
Yeah, we'll point you to the highlights.
We'll find the nuggets, make it efficient. Okay, so where do we kick things off to really, level up our understanding?
Let's start with vocabulary. It's the bedrock, isn't it? One source mentioned this idea of a paradigm shift, specifically with tech in classrooms.
Ah, yes, that fundamental change in thinking.
Exactly. And understanding that concept, that idea of a paradigm shift, it's powerful for English learners.
How so?
Well, because it shows a higher level of analysis, right? When you can talk about these big shifts in tech, society, whatever, you can have much more sophisticated conversations.
That makes total sense. It's not just the word, it's the concept behind it. Okay, so with that in mind, let's dig into some specific words from the sources. First one, viable. What's the key thing here?
Viable, right? It basically means something can work successfully. It's feasible.
Practical.
Practical, yeah. So if you use viable, maybe talking about sustainability, like solar power is a viable alternative. You're saying it's not just a nice idea, it's a real workable option.
Got it. Suggests real willing potential.
Okay, next, benign.
Benign describes something that doesn't have a significant harmful effect.
So not dangerous. Pretty much. Like you might talk about the benign effect of a new building on wildlife. It means, despite worries, it probably won't cause much damage. Useful for talking about impacts without, sounding the alarm bells.
Okay, so neutral or even slightly positive in its lack of harm. Then conducive.
Conducive. This means something makes a certain situation or outcome more likely.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about studying. A quiet, organized space is conducive to concentration.
So the space helps you concentrate.
Exactly. It supports the result you want. It creates the right conditions.
Sets the stage. Makes sense. Okay, incentive. We hear this one a lot.
Yeah. An incentive is simply something that motivates or encourages you to do something.
Like a reward.
Often, yeah. Businesses use sales incentives. Governments might offer tax incentives. It's basically the reason, the push behind an action. Super important in business, economics, even just everyday life, really.
But why? Got it. Okay, compile.
Compile means to gather info from different places and put it together.
Like making a list.
Yeah, or researchers compile data from studies. You compile a report. It's about assembling different pieces into a whole.
Building something from parts. Okay. And contradictory.
Contradictory when things oppose each other. They're inconsistent.
Like two different stories.
Exactly. You might find contradictory evidence in research pointing in different directions. It helps you spot those conflicts in ideas or data.
Highlighting the clashes.
Well,
okay.
yeah.
What about foster?
To foster something is to encourage its development, usually something positive.
Like raising a child.
Sort of, but it applies more broadly. Teachers try to foster creativity or foster critical thinking. It implies nurturing something, helping it grow.
Cultivating something good.
Oh.
Okay. Next, retention.
Retention is about keeping something, holding onto it. Well, in business, employee retention is a big deal, keeping your staff. In schools, it might be student retention, keeping kids enrolled. It's about maintaining what you have.
Holding on to value.
Gotcha.
Depict.
Depict means to represent something, usually visually, like in art, or maybe through description.
So like a painting.
Yeah, a painting might depict a battle, or a book might depict life in the 19th century. It's about showing or representing.
Painting a picture, maybe with words. Okay. The phrase steer clear of.
Ah, yeah. It's basically a stronger way to say avoid.
More emphatic.
Your doctor might tell you to steer clear of fatty foods. It suggests actively, consciously staying away from something.
Proactive avoidance. Okay.
Solely,
Solely just means only, exclusively. Like, his success wasn't solely due to luck.
meaning other things were involved too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It clarifies that something is limited to just one factor, or not limited to just one factor.
Narrows the focus. Okay. Abundant.
Abundant meaning lots of something. Plentiful.
Right.
A country might have abundant natural resources. Or a forest could have abundant wildlife. It just means there's a large quantity available.
A wealth of it. Good word. Then sustainability, super important one. Hugely important. Sustainability is the ability to keep something going over the long term.
Especially with the environment.
Right. Yeah, often used with environmental or resource issues, like investing in renewable energy promotes sustainability. It's all about long-term balance and viability.
Thinking ahead. Okay. Assess.
To assess is to evaluate something, to judge its quality or value.
Like a teacher assesses homework.
Exactly. Teachers assess understanding. Businesses assess risks or assess market conditions. It's about making an informed judgment.
Checking the value or level. Got it. Next, target.
As a verb, target means to aim for a specific goal or objective.
So like a target in archery.
Similar idea, a company might target a 10% increase in sales. A health campaign might target young adults. It's having that specific aim.
A clear objective. Okay. Elicit.
To elicit means to draw out a response or information from someone.
Like getting someone to talk.
Yeah, or getting a specific reaction. Good questions in a survey are designed to elicit honest feedback. It's about prompting something out.
Gently pulling it out. Okay. Decipher.
Decipher. That's figuring out something difficult to understand.
Like a code.
Exactly. Or maybe deciphering someone's bad handwriting.
Yeah.
Or scholars trying to decipher ancient texts. It's about cracking the code, finding the meaning.
Unlocking a puzzle.
Right.
Fluctuate.
Fluctuate means to change irregularly, go up and down unpredictably.
Like prices.
Yeah, stock prices fluctuate, the temperature can fluctuate. It describes those unsteady variations.
Back and forth. No clear pattern.
Okay. Outline.
As a verb, to outline is to give a summary of the main points.
Like before writing an essay.
Perfect example. You create an outline first. A presenter might outline the key topics at the start. It gives the main structure.
The framework. Good. Promote.
To promote is to actively encourage or support something.
Like promoting an event.
Yes. Or organizations promote health awareness.
Yeah.
Schools promote reading.
Yeah.
It's about actively pushing for something.
Advocating. Okay. Habitat.
Habitat is the natural home or environment of an animal or plant.
Like a jungle habitat. Conservation efforts focus on protecting wildlife habitats. It's the specific place where something lives naturally.
Natural home. Got it. And the last one for this section, augment.
Augment means to make something larger or increase it in size or scope. Enhance it.
Like adding to something.
Yeah. A company might augment its services. You could augment your income with a side job. It's about increasing or improving something.
Okay, wow. That's a really solid vocabulary toolkit we've just built up.
Definitely some useful words there.
So let's see how this kind of richer vocabulary looks in action, maybe in more advanced descriptions of everyday life. That source about Mark's day was interesting, C1 level, right?
Yeah. And what's striking is how normal actions get described using more, sophisticated language and sentence structures.
Like his morning routine.
Exactly. Instead of just Mark wakes up, it says, the alarm rings at 6:30 a.m., signaling the beginning of Mark's day.
Signaling. Yeah, that adds something.
It does. And not just he gets ready, but with precision, he orchestrates the morning routine.
Orchestrates. That's quite a word for getting dressed and having breakfast.
It elevates it, doesn't it? Makes it sound more controlled, more deliberate. Even the aroma of coffee is richer than just smell.
It really paints a more vivid picture. You're right, even just signaling instead of rings and wakes him up. Big difference in fluency perception. What about his workday?
Similar thing. Not just he works as a manager, but he transitions into his managerial role.
Transitions into... Nice.
Yeah, implies that shift.
Yeah.
And it uses phrases like leading a diverse team, meetings are back-to-back, which really paints a picture of a busy schedule. And he excels in conveying intricate ideas.
Excels instead of is good at, and intricate instead of complex.
Precisely. It's choosing words that add nuance, maybe a bit more impact. It sounds more impressive, more detailed.
Definitely. How about after work?
Again, more advanced touches. As the workday concludes, not just when work ends, he races against the clock. Great idiom there.
Yeah, very common.
To get to his kids' activities, which are called integral parts of their routine, emphasizes importance. And look at the sentence structure. In the car rides between activities, Mark cherishes the moments of connection. Starting with that prepositional phrase.
Right, that longer introductory phrase feels more advanced than just Mark cherishes moments in the car. How does he wind down the evening?
The language gets quite evocative there. The family reunites in collective activities. He's weary from the demands of the day.
Nicer than just tired.
He revels in the simple pleasures of familial bonds. Even a walk is a leisurely stroll.
Leisurely stroll.
And instead of it's nearly bedtime, the clock inches towards bedtime.
Inches towards. I like that.
He carves out time for reflection, slips into bed, savors the tranquility that descends. It's almost poetic, really.
It is. Very descriptive.
And notice the structure by plus-ing verb, by reading, meditating, or journaling. A neat way to list activities.
Yeah, concise. So the big takeaway seems to be use richer words, more vivid imagery, maybe more complex sentences sometimes, and your English just sounds more fluent, more advanced.
That's the idea. It's about consciously choosing those slightly more sophisticated options.
Okay, fantastic. Yep. Let's shift gears a bit. Negotiation, a really practical skill. What's the basic idea we need to grasp?
Negotiation at its core is just a discussion, right? Aiming to reach an agreement that works for everyone involved.
And grammatically, how do we talk about it?
Good point. You usually negotiate with someone. You negotiate for something like a better price, and you negotiate on or over the details, like the terms.
Got it. Now, thinking about North America, where can we actually haggle? And where is it like a definite no-go?
Generally, big chain stores, supermarkets, malls, the prices are fixed. Don't even try.
Right.
But for bigger ticket items, houses, cars, sometimes furniture or appliances, especially from independent stores, or services like contracting work, maybe even at markets or craft fairs, yeah, negotiation is often possible, even expected sometimes.
Good to know the playing field.
Yeah.
So if we do want to try and negotiate, how do we start that conversation politely?
Starting gently is usually best. You can ask something like, is there any room for negotiation on this? Or maybe, is the price flexible at all?
Okay, low.
Yeah. Or you could ask about deals. Are there any sales or promotions running right now? Or are any discounts available for this item?
Checking for existing deals first. Smart.
And if you want to be a bit more direct, but still polite, what's the best price you can offer me? Or perhaps, what's the lowest you'd be willing to accept?
Those get straight to it. Okay, so now we're in the actual back and forth. What phrases work well?
Well, a key thing is to give a reason for asking for a discount, if possible, and try to make it sound like a win-win.
Makes sense.
And often it's smart to ask for a bit more of a discount than you actually expect to get. Gives you room to meet in the middle.
Right. So examples.
You could say, if I buy 2 of these, could you give me, say, 30% off? Notice the structure. If plus present simple, then can or could plus base verb.
Okay. Conditional?
Yeah, or offer something else. If I pay the full price for this, could you include free delivery? Or referencing cash. If I pay in cash, would you be able to do a slightly better price? Maybe hinting at avoiding card fees or taxes.
Ah, interesting.
You could even leverage feedback. This is beautiful, but it's a bit over my budget. If I promise to leave a great review online, would you accept $100?
Creative. What if it's just too expensive for us?
Honesty, but polite honesty works. This is lovely, but it's really out of my budget right now. Would you consider accepting $250? Using would softens it.
Right. Less demanding.
Or combine it. Would you be willing to accept $300 if I recommend your shop to my colleagues? Again, would plus subject plus be willing plus to plus verb is a nice, polite structure.
Feels collaborative, not confrontational.
Yeah.
Okay, let's flip it. If we're the seller and the price is fixed, how do we say no politely?
You can be direct but courteous. I'm sorry, but our prices are non-negotiable, or unfortunately, the price is firm on this. You can also use idioms to soften it. I wish I could help, but my hands are tied, meaning you don't have the authority.
Ah, common one.
Or, sorry, I don't have any wiggle room on the price. Wiggle room means flexibility.
No flexibility. Got it.
You could also say, our prices are already the lowest they can go, or express regret like, if I could offer a discount, I would, but implying you can't.
Firm but friendly. Okay, and back to the buyer. If we want to stand our ground on our offer, what can we say?
Acknowledge their position first. I understand, but that price just isn't in my budget, or at is out of my budget.
Okay.
You might need to signal you'll walk away. In that case, I think I'll have to pass. The have to makes it sound like a necessity.
Right.
Or, unfortunately, I can't move forward at that price. Leaving the door open is good too. Please let me know if anything changes with the price.
Keeps the possibility alive.
And always try to end positively, even if there's no deal. It's too bad we couldn't come to an agreement. Still, I appreciate your time. Also, the phrase work something out, meaning find a compromise, is useful. Like, I'm sorry we couldn't work this out.
Really valuable stuff for navigating those potentially tricky talks.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to something we use constantly. I think the sources had so many alternatives.
They really did. And which one you choose really depends on the situation, you know? The nuance you want.
So for just everyday chat.
Instead of just, I think you could try, I'd say, if you ask me, I'd say, I believe. It seems to me that the way I see it, to me, I reckon. That one's a bit more informal, maybe you, Kais.
Yeah, has a certain feel.
That's my take on it. Or the very casual, that's my 2 cents.
My 2 cents, yeah. Okay, what about more formal settings, like work?
Right. If you're in a meeting or giving a presentation, instead of, I think we should, maybe try from my perspective, in my opinion. It's my view that, or it appears to me that. Notice you can often drop the that when speaking.
Makes it sound a bit smoother. Okay, how about expressing certainty? Stronger than just, I think.
Oh, yeah. If you're really sure, you can say, I'm sure, I'm certain, I'm positive. It's obvious that. It's indisputable that. It's undeniable. It's unquestionable, or it's beyond a doubt.
Wow, those pack a punch.
Yeah.
No ambiguity there. What about the opposite? Uncertainty or doubt?
When you're not so sure, maybe instead of, I think it might,
Yeah.
you could use, it's possible that, it's probable, it's likely, I figure, I gather, I have a hunch.
I have a hunch.
Or soften it even more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, or to the best of my knowledge.
Lots of ways to show you're not 100% sure. Okay, lastly for I think, how can we be diplomatic, especially if we disagree?
Good question. To preface a potentially sensitive opinion, you could start with, to be honest, in all honesty. Or maybe, I'm sorry to say it, but...
Gives a little warning.
Exactly. Or be more indirect. One could argue that.
Right.
Or, my impression is that, and acknowledging the other person first is great. I get what you're saying, but remember, get means understand here, or slightly more formal. I understand what you're saying, but...
That's a brilliant toolkit just for expressing opinions.
Yeah.
Okay, next everyday phrase. Goodbye. Beyond just bye, what else have we got?
Oh, loads. In everyday situations, adding something is common. Bye. Take care. Or, flip it. Take care, bye. Just take care works, too. Wishing well for the time of day. Have a good day, morning, afternoon.
Yeah.
Evening, night. Or the super versatile, have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one is useful.
You can combine them.
Right.
Bye, take care, have a good one. For a little less final, goodbye, bye for now. And wishing them well for what's next. Enjoy the rest of your day weekend vacation. You can swap good for wonderful, fabulous, fantastic, too.
Adds a bit more warmth. What about saying bye to friends?
More casual options there. See you soon, see you later. Talk soon implies you'll phone or message if you have plans. See you next week tomorrow at the party. Maybe add can't wait.
Okay.
Reflecting on your time together is nice too. Bye! It was so great, awesome, lovely seeing you, catching up, having dinner, if they're driving or traveling. Bye, drive safe. Bye, have a safe trip. Suggesting future contact. Let's catch up soon. Don't be a stranger. Keep in touch. Take care.
All very friendly. Any really informal, slangy ways.
Definitely. If you need to signal you're leaving quickly, gotta go, gotta jet, gotta head out, gotta take off, gotta hit the road, gotta get going.
Love the gotta.
Yeah. Also, catch you later, or just later. Playful slang includes catch you on the flip side or catch you on the flippity flip, and the classic peace out, or just peace, see ya, is super common too.
Fun ones for the right crowd. What about partners or kids?
With a partner, you might add affection. Bye, my love, miss you already, using pet names. With kids, the rhyme, see you later, alligator, response, after a while, crocodile, is a classic.
Cute. Okay, professional goodbyes. How do we handle those?
Often good to look ahead. Looking forward to seeing you again soon, looking forward to working together, or mention the next step. Looking forward to the conference project.
Okay.
After a first meeting. Bye, it was a pleasure meeting you, or it was nice talking to you. Job interviews. Gratitude is key. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to hearing from you. The interviewer might say, thanks for coming in. We'll be in touch soon.
Right. Setting expectations.
If you're a superior saying goodbye, you might offer encouragement, keep up the great work, or offer help. If you need anything, I'm just a phone call away, or my door is always open.
Very context specific. Great. Third common phrase. I don't know. We all say it, but how can we vary it?
So many ways, everyday options. I have no idea, or just no idea. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about that. Not sure about that. Questions work too. Who knows? Or the classic, your guess is as good as mine.
Means you both have no idea.
Exactly. If you want to offer a tentative guess, if I had to guess, I'd say, expressing the lack directly. I wish I knew. I wish I could help you with that. I can't help you there. Acknowledging the question first is good too. That's a good question, but I don't have the answer right now. Or, I've never thought about that. And humorously, let me ask Siri or Google.
Always an option. Any idioms for I don't know?
Yep. Beats me. I haven't the slightest idea or foggiest or faintest idea, and I haven't a clue.
Those really emphasize the clueless feeling. But probably not for work.
Generally not, no. In professional settings, it's better to show proactivity instead of, I don't know, maybe ask, when do you need this information by?
Buys you time.
Right. Or offer to find out. Let me check on that for you. I'll find out. I'll look into this. Promising to follow up is key. I'll get back to you. Specifying when is even better. I need to verify something, and I'll get back to you by end of day by 2 p.m. tomorrow morning. You can combine these. I'm not sure offhand. Let me look into this, and I'll get back to you by 3.0. Does that work? Or, I don't know off the top of my head. Let me find out, and I'll email you ASM 15 minutes.
Much more professional. Offer a solution, not just the problem. Okay, quick look at, casual versus formal.
Right, casually. Sorry, so sorry, very sorry about that. Interjections like, oops, oh no, my bad. Excuse me, pardon me, work too. Taking blame, my fault, my mistake, I was wrong, and softening bad news. Unfortunately, I can't make it. Instead of, I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay. And professionally?
More formal apologies needed. My apologies. Or stronger, my sincere apologies. Good to specify. For the delay or inconvenience, even more formal. Please accept my apologies, or please accept my sincere apologies for. Taking ownership is vital. I take full responsibility for. Offering a fix helps. I realize I made an error, and I'll correct it immediately. Acknowledging their patience. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for your understanding holding. If they pointed out the error. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll address it.
Shows accountability. Is there that idiom for ultimate responsibility?
Yes. The buck stops with me.
Yeah.
It means you accept final responsibility, no excuses. Very strong statement.
Powerful. Okay. And we briefly touched on sharing opinions, agreeing, disagreeing. Just recap the types of phrases.
Sure. For sharing your opinion, in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, I feel that, etc. Pick a few you like. For agreeing, I agree. Exactly. That's true. I think so too. You're right. If agreeing with a negative opinion like I don't like it, you say, neither do I.
Important distinction.
For disagreeing, often good to soften it. I see your point, but I'm afraid I disagree. I have a slightly different perspective. Acknowledging first helps. For sharing general opinions, what people often think. Some people believe that. And for asking for opinions, what do you think? What's your opinion? Do you agree? What are your thoughts on this?
Great quick reference. Now, transition words, those connectors.
Crucial for flow. They show relationships between ideas. For cause and effect, you have formal ones like consequently, hence, accordingly, thus, down to informal so, because, due to. Match formality to context for chronology. Firstly, secondly, next and then afterwards. Finally, last but not least, vary them for contrast. Formal, however, less formal, though simple, but for adding similar ideas. Formal, furthermore, moreover, additionally, down to also and for generality. In general, generally speaking, by and large, most of the time, usually, typically, for examples. For example, for instance, as an example, for emphasis. In fact, as a matter of fact.
And for wrapping up.
Lots of options for conclusions, from formal in conclusion to summarize, down to informal overall in the end, to wrap up, all in all. So
it really is a toolkit for structuring thoughts. And you can mix and match, right?
Absolutely. Use words from different categories to build a more complex point, showing cause, contrast, and conclusion, all related to one idea.
Okay, finally, the big one. Idioms. That massive list. We can't go through all 150 in detail, but maybe hit some highlights. The really common or useful ones.
Let's do it. Quick fire round. Play it by ear.
Decide as you go, no plan.
Exactly. Be all ears.
Listening intently.
Right. Wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Be in a bad mood.
Wing something.
Do it without preparation. Improvise.
Perfect. Make a mountain out of a molehill.
Exaggerate a small problem.
Be at a crossroads.
Need to make a big decision.
Good. Raining cats and dogs.
Raining very heavily.
Classic. On top of the world.
Extremely happy.
Give someone the cold shoulder.
Ignore someone intentionally.
Right. Sit on the fence.
Be undecided.
Hit the nail on the head.
Be exactly right.
As fit as a fiddle.
Very healthy and strong.
Get something out of your system.
Do something you've wanted to stop thinking about it.
Speak of the devil.
Said when someone you were just talking about appears.
Give someone the benefit of the doubt.
Trust them, even if unsure.
No pain, no gain.
Hard work is needed for success.
Hang in there.
Don't give up.
Encouragement.
A penny for your thoughts.
Asking what someone is thinking.
It's not rocket science.
It's not difficult.
It lets someone off the hook.
Avoid punishment or responsibility.
Make a long story short.
Get to the point quickly.
Easy does it.
Be careful. Go slowly.
Go back to the drawing board.
Start over after a failure.
Once in a blue moon.
Very rarely.
At the drop of a hat.
Immediately, without hesitation. Add insult to injury.
Make a bad situation worse.
Hit the sack, hit the hay.
Go to bed.
The ball's in your court.
It's your turn to act or decide.
Barking up the wrong tree.
Pursuing a mistaken idea or person.
Have your ducks in a row.
Be well organized.
Have the best of both worlds.
Enjoy two different advantages simultaneously.
The lion's share.
The largest part.
Be on the ball.
Alert, competent, quick to understand.
Pull someone's leg.
Tease or joke with someone.
Pull yourself together.
Regain emotional control.
So far, so good.
Things are going well up to now.
Be the last straw.
The final annoyance that makes you lose patience.
Time flies when you're having fun.
A classic saying.
Be bent out of shape.
Be angry or upset.
To make matters worse.
Introducing something that worsens a bad situation.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Don't judge based on appearance.
Fall between two stools.
Fail by trying to satisfy two conflicting options.
Cost an arm and a leg.
Be very expensive.
Cross that bridge when you come to it.
Deal with a problem only when it happens.
Cry over spilt milk.
Worry about past mistakes you can't change.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Warning against being too nosy.
Miss the boat.
Lose an opportunity.
Be on fire.
Performing extremely well.
Spill the beans.
Reveal a secret.
Be under the weather.
Feel slightly ill.
A blessing in disguise.
Something good that seemed bad at first.
A dime a dozen.
Very common, not special.
Beat around the bush.
Avoid the main point.
Better late than never.
Self-explanatory.
Bite the bullet.
Face a difficult situation bravely.
Break a leg.
Good luck, especially for performers.
All in a day.
Stop working.
Cut somebody some slack.
Be less critical.
Be glad to see the back of someone.
Be happy when someone leaves.
Best thing since sliced bread.
A really great invention or idea.
Plenty of fish in the sea.
Many other potential partners after a breakup.
Come rain or shine.
Whatever happens,
Cut corners.
do something badly to save time money.
Get your act together.
Organize yourself, behave properly.
Break the ice.
Start conversation in a social setting.
Clear as mud.
Totally unclear.
Ironic.
Crystal clear.
Very clear.
Rock the boat.
Cause trouble, disturb stability.
Get out of hand.
Become uncontrollable.
A bad apple.
A negative influence in a group.
Cut to the chase.
Get to the main point quickly.
Come in handy.
Be useful.
Reinvent the wheel.
Waste time on something already created.
Go with the flow.
Be relaxed and adaptable.
Be skating on thin ice.
Be in a risky situation.
Silver lining.
A positive aspect of a bad situation.
Have a sweet tooth.
Like sugary foods.
Go Dutch.
Each person pays for themselves.
Make ends meet.
Have just enough money to live on.
Ring a bell.
Found familiar.
Tip of the iceberg.
Small, visible part of a larger problem.
Blow off steam.
Release stress or anger.
A piece of cake.
Very easy.
Be out of the woods.
Past the danger or difficulty.
Get over something.
Recover from illness or disappointment. Not be one's cup of tea.
Not be something one likes.
Be loaded.
Be very rich. Informal.
Nip something in the bud.
Stop something early before it grows.
Out of the blue.
Unexpectedly.
Keep one's chin up.
Stay cheerful in difficult times.
Race against the clock.
Hurry to meet a deadline.
Catch somebody off guard.
Surprise someone.
Be on one's radar.
Be aware of something someone.
Stab someone in the back.
Betray someone's trust.
Make a beeline for something.
Go directly and quickly towards something.
Get in hot water.
Be in trouble.
Dress to the nines.
Dressed very smartly or glamorously.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Having to choose between two bad options.
Lo and behold.
Expressing surprise at something unexpected.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Reveal a secret accidentally.
Be on the same page.
Understand each other. Agree.
Sell like hotcakes.
Sell very quickly and easily.
Fall slip through the cracks.
Be overlooked or forgotten.
Be up in arms.
Be very angry and protesting.
Fair and square.
Honestly, without cheating.
Be a black sheep.
The odd one out in a family group. Often disapproved of.
By the skin of one's teeth.
Just barely succeeding.
Get under one's skin.
Annoy or irritate someone persistently.
Draw the line.
Set a limit on what you will accept.
Give something a whirl.
Try something out.
A fish out of water.
Feeling uncomfortable in an unfamiliar situation.
Woe the extra mile.
Do more than is required.
Not see the forest for the trees.
Be too focused on details to see the overall situation.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
From the original, most reliable source.
Carl Wolf.
Give false alarms repeatedly.
Have bigger fish to fry.
Have more important things to do.
Play devil's advocate.
Argue against an idea just to test it.
Steal one's thunder.
Take attention or credit away from someone else.
Rain on one's parade.
Spoil someone's plans or enthusiasm.
Be a cakewalk.
Be extremely easy.
Take a rain check.
Politely decline an offer now, but suggest doing it later.
Go be on a wild goose chase.
A pointless pursuit.
Twist someone's arm.
Persuade someone strongly.
Face the music.
Accept the negative consequences.
Hit the books.
Study hard.
Turn a deaf ear.
Ignore someone's requests or warnings.
Drake the bank.
Be too expensive.
Jump the gun.
Start too early.
Read between the lines.
Understand the hidden meaning.
Through thick and thin.
In good times and bad times.
Go back to square one.
Start all over again.
From scratch.
From the very beginning without using anything pre-prepared.
Shoot oneself in the foot.
Unintentionally harm your own interests.
Right off the bat.
Immediately.
In the bag.
Certain to be won or achieved.
Hot air.
Empty, boastful talk.
Follow in someone's footsteps.
Do the same job or life path as someone else. Often family.
Call a spade a spade.
Speak plainly and directly, even if blunt.
Be in the same boat.
Be in the same difficult situation.
Pick someone's brain.
Ask someone knowledgeable for information or ideas.
Bounce an idea off someone.
Share an idea to get feedback.
The devil's in the details.
Small things can cause big problems.
The pot calling the kettle black.
Accusing someone of a fault you also have. Hypocrisy.
Take a backseat.
Allow others to take the lead. Be less involved.
Be up for grabby.
Be available for anyone to take or win.
Put something on ice.
Postpone something.
Bite off more than you can chew.
Try to do too much or something too difficult.
Throw caution to the wind.
Act recklessly.
A cross to bear.
A burden or suffering one must endure.
And finally, keep one's eye on something someone.
Watch carefully. That was intense.
It was. But what an incredible range of expressions. Really shows the richness.
It absolutely doesn't. You know, as you said, this deep dive has covered a huge amount of ground. It's like a shortcut, isn't it, to getting informed about all these different facets of English.
It really is. We've packed a lot in.
And for you listening, remember, you don't have to absorb it all at once. Come back, revisit the bits you need negotiation one week, idioms another.
Definitely. And maybe the best advice is just pick one or two things from today. Maybe a new vocabulary word, a different way to say I think, or just one idiom that you liked.
Yeah.
And try to use it this week. Consciously put it into practice. Those small, consistent steps, that's how you really improve.
Great advice. So as we wrap up, maybe think about how mastering some of these nuances, the vocabulary, the phrasing, the idioms, how that could genuinely open up new doors for you, deeper connections, clearer communication, both personally and professionally.
What was the one thing today, that one phrase or idea that really clicked for you? Your aha moment?
Yeah, what was it? Hold on to that, maybe start there. That's your takeaway. Thanks for diving deep with us today. All right, let's supercharge that everyday English, huh?
Sounds good to me.
We're going to dive deep into 33 words. 33 words.
Wow.
That'll make you sound, well, instantly more like a natural, confident English speaker.
I like it.
And this isn't just, your basic vocabulary lesson.
All right.
We're going way beyond that, I think.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to uncover how native speakers, actually use these words, the subtle ways, you'll be surprised, I think,
You really will.
at the nuances
Yeah, for sure.
that maybe you've missed before, even if you've been speaking English for quite a while.
It's true. Even simple words, right? Can have like all these hidden depths to them.
Absolutely.
And using them correctly can make a big difference, I think,
Totally.
in how you come across, especially like professionally.
Yeah, especially in professional settings.
Okay.
So our source material, this is designed for like upper intermediate learners, which means you guys listening, you already have a pretty solid foundation.
Yeah.
We're just adding that, extra polish and precision.
That's a good way to put it.
Think of it like, you've got like a good basic dish.
Okay.
And we're just going to add in those gourmet touches, really going to elevate the flavor.
I like that analogy. We've got some tasty ingredients to work with today.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with these essential words for daily conversations, right? This is the kind of stuff you need to just navigate life.
Yeah, just get things done. Errands, appointments, all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The building blocks, right?
Yeah.
Fluent communication. Master these, and you'll be able to handle almost any everyday situation, I think.
Totally. And the first word that jumps out at me is convenient.
Okay.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, but I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this too, native speakers use it to soften requests,
Oh, yeah.
or suggestions. Like, instead of just saying, can you meet me at 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
They'll say, would 2 p.m. be convenient for you?
That's a great observation. Yeah, it adds that layer of like politeness,
Yes.
consideration, right?
Yeah.
Which can really make your interactions, go much more smoothly. It shows that you're thinking about like their schedule and their preferences.
It's such a little linguistic trick,
It is.
but it makes you sound so thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, another word in this category is confirm.
Okay, yeah.
It's obviously important, right?
Right.
For making sure everyone's on the same page. But I've noticed it's also often used in emails, to add that sense of urgency or importance.
Totally.
You notice that?
Absolutely, yeah. Just adding a simple phrase like, please confirm your attendance. It can subtly nudge someone to respond quickly,
Yes.
right? And it shows that you're taking the matter seriously.
Yeah.
And you expect them to do the same.
Right. It's almost like a gentle reminder disguised as a polite request. That's good stuff. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to the workplace. Workplace and business vocabulary.
You love to see it.
I mean, you got to love it, right?
Well, they might not always spark joy,
Yeah, that's true.
these words, but they're definitely essential for, succeeding in a professional environment.
They really are. And one word that always makes people cringe a little bit is deadline.
Okay.
But, think about how native speakers use it, though. It's not always this harsh, immovable wall,
You're right. It's not always a hard stop.
Right.
Yeah.
They often soften it by using, phrases like let's aim for, or ideally we'd like to have this by.
Right.
It frames the deadline as a shared goal rather than a command.
Exactly.
So it's not just about meeting the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how you communicate it, the tone.
Exactly. Yeah. And another word in this category I find fascinating is prioritize.
Oh, yeah.
Real power word, I think.
It is.
Because it shows that you're in control of your workload, right?
Yeah. It's like saying, I've got a lot on my plate,
Yeah.
but I know what's most important.
Yeah. And it can be a great way to, push back politely if someone is asking you to take on too much, right? You could say, I need to prioritize my current tasks, but I can take a look at that next week.
Okay. That's a good move. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try that one. All right. So let's talk about something a little bit less stressful, maybe. Shopping and money vocabulary.
Okay. I like it.
I got to admit, I do love browsing online stores and comparing prices.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't enjoy a good bargain hunt?
Right.
Yeah.
But even when you're dealing with money, there are subtle ways to use language that can make you a more informed and confident consumer.
I think so too.
For example, I've noticed that native speakers use purchase a lot
Yeah.
when they want to sound more deliberate,
Uh-huh.
intentional about their spending. It's not just buying something, it's making a considered choice.
You're right. It elevates it, right?
Right.
Buying to something more thoughtful, especially when dealing with larger purchases.
Exactly. Like you're saying, I didn't just impulse buy this.
Mhm.
I carefully considered my options and I made a conscious decision to purchase it.
Right, and that can be a powerful distinction.
Yeah.
Both for your own, like, financial awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also for how other people perceive your spending habits.
Okay. Let's move on to social and entertainment vocabulary.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. The words we need to connect with others and have some fun.
Yeah, this is where language comes alive, I think. Sharing experiences, expressing emotions, creating memories.
And one word that immediately brings those good vibes is concert.
Oh, yeah.
I just love how it like conjures up images of like live music, crowds of people singing along, just pure energy.
It really does. It encapsulates like a whole sensory experience, right? Like, and notice how native speakers use like all these vivid adjectives, right, to describe concerts. Like unforgettable, you know?
Yes.
Electrifying, soul-stirring, like they're painting a picture with their words.
They really are. It's like they're inviting you to relive the experience with them. Now, another word in this category that's like super versatile is host.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we already talked about how it can be used to like subtly encourage action.
Right.
Right? But it also has that like more literal meaning of someone who welcomes and entertains guests.
It does, and it's interesting how that concept of hospitality extends beyond just like social gatherings, right?
Yeah.
Like you can host a website, host a radio show. It's all about, you know, providing a platform, a space for others.
So it's not just about throwing a party, right?
Right.
It's about creating that experience, the sense of welcome, no matter the context.
That's what makes this word so powerful, right? It captures like the essence of generosity.
Yes.
And connection.
Okay, before we jump into the next set of words, I kind of want to pause and reflect for a second.
Okay.
What's like standing out to you so far? Any words you're particularly like excited to try out using in your own conversations?
I think for me, I'm really intrigued by how native speakers use, you know, convenient and confirm to like subtly influence interactions, right?
Yes.
It's a good reminder that even like seemingly simple words can be used strategically to get a specific outcome.
100%. I'm already thinking about how I can weave those into like my emails, my conversations.
Yeah, and don't forget about like prioritize.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's a good one.
Such a powerful word for like setting boundaries.
It is.
Managing expectations, both in like professional and personal settings.
Absolutely. It's like a magic word for staying in control of your time and energy. All right. Are you ready to explore some more?
I am.
I'm excited.
I'm eager to see what other like linguistic gems we uncover here.
I think we're going to find some good ones.
Me too.
All right, so let's keep this vocabulary train rolling.
Let's do it.
I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
my English muscles are getting stronger already.
For sure.
What's next on our list?
Well, let's delve into a word that's, you know, essential for those moments when plans change.
Yeah.
You know, the inevitable cancel.
Oh, yeah.
Cancel?
Yeah, you know, it might not be the most pleasant word to utter.
No.
But mastering its nuances, I think, can save you from some awkward situations.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I've had my fair share of last-minute cancellations.
Oh, sure.
And I think knowing how to, like, communicate those clearly and politely is key.
It really is. And it's not just about saying, I can't make it, right?
Right.
Native speakers will often use phrases like, something came up, or I have to reschedule, which, you know, just sound less abrupt.
Yes.
And they offer, like, a sense of explanation.
Right. Without going into, like, unnecessary detail.
It's like, you're being direct, but also considerate.
Exactly. It's all about striking that balance. And that brings us to another essential word, feedback.
Oh, yeah.
We all receive feedback, whether we seek it out or not.
Sure.
And I think knowing how to use this word effectively can make all the difference in our personal and professional growth.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Feedback can be a powerful tool, you know.
It is.
For learning and improvement, but it can also be kind of tricky to navigate. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I've noticed that native speakers often soften the blow of constructive criticism by framing it as observations or suggestions rather than like, you know, outright judgments.
Right. So instead of saying, you know, you should have done this or you did this wrong, they might say something like, I noticed that. Or have you considered? Right.
Yeah.
Creates a much more collaborative,
a
less confrontational tone.
It's like you're part of the solution instead of being the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears to something a little lighter. Entertainment.
fun.
I mean, this word just encompasses so many things that we enjoy.
It does, and it's a word that often comes with this sense of excitement and anticipation, right? Like native speakers will use phrases like, I can't wait to, or I'm really looking forward to, when they talk about entertainment.
Hopefully.
Which I think adds to that feeling of eagerness.
Like they're already experiencing the joy even before it's happened.
Exactly.
And speaking of excitement, let's talk about bargains.
All right.
Who doesn't love a good bargain?
Bargain hunting.
Yeah.
It's practically a sport for some people.
It is.
And native speakers have like this whole arsenal of vocabulary for describing their amazing finds, right? So they might say something is a steal, a great value, or worth every penny.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like they're giving you permission to like indulge without feeling guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, on the flip side of bargains, there's the reality of expenses.
Right. That's true.
And this is where the words expensive and affordable come in.
Yeah.
It's not just about stating facts. It's about expressing opinions,
for sure,
preferences, right?
Yeah. Native speakers might say something like overpriced or a bit steep or reasonably priced, depending on the speaker.
So it's not just about the price tag. It's about how that price makes you feel and how you want others to perceive it.
Exactly. Using language to convey your personal value system when it comes to spending.
Love that. Okay, before we wrap up this section, let's tackle a word that's super essential for any consumer. Refund.
Oh, yes. Refund.
Ah, yes. The magic word. Right. That can like save the day when a purchase goes wrong.
Totally.
But I've noticed native speakers often approach refund requests with a certain level of like diplomacy. Yes. Like they're not just like demanding.
Right. They're very tactful about it. That they might start by, expressing understanding, acknowledging the inconvenience before actually stating their request. So, phrases like, I understand this is probably not your fault, but, or I'm really disappointed with this purchase and I was hoping, things like that can go a long way in getting a positive response.
It's like you're appealing to their sense of fairness and customer service.
Exactly. And not just demanding a refund outright.
I love that. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
It's amazing how much depth and nuance there is to even the most everyday words.
It's true. And I think the key takeaway is that language is so much more than just, communication.
Yeah.
It's a tool for building relationships, expressing ourselves, and navigating the world around us.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So as we move into the final stretch of our deep dive, let's keep this idea of like strategic language use in mind.
Okay.
What are some other ways that we can use these seemingly simple words to make a big impact in our everyday lives? It's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
How we can unlock like a whole new level of communication.
It's true.
Just by like, fine-tuning our word choices.
It is, yeah.
And we've been talking about these 33 essential English words.
Yeah.
And I'm like already starting to see them in a new light. It's not just about knowing the definitions.
Right.
It's about understanding like the subtle ways native speakers use them to create these
very intentional
specific effects.
Yeah.
It's like having, like a secret code book.
It is, yeah.
For navigating these everyday conversations, workplace interactions, even those tricky moments when you need to, like cancel plans or request a refund.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And the best part is these secret codes are actually pretty simple.
Yeah, I think so too.
To implement.
Once you're aware of them, right?
Once you're aware of them.
Yeah.
It's all about like paying attention to the details.
Yeah.
Listening to how native speakers use the language and then, trying it out yourself.
And don't be afraid to experiment, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the beauty of language. It's constantly evolving.
Yeah. Exactly.
So there's always room to play around with different words and phrases and see what works best for you.
That's such a good point. It's like, like learning a new dance move.
Oh, yeah.
You might feel a bit awkward at first.
Yeah, for sure.
But the more you practice it,
the
smoother and more natural it becomes.
Exactly. And just like dancing, the key is to have fun with it.
Yes.
Don't get too bogged down in the rules.
Right.
Don't worry about making mistakes.
Yeah.
Just, the most important thing is to communicate effectively and connect with others.
I love that. And that brings me to a little challenge
Okay.
I want to give to our listeners.
Right.
Now that we've explored these 73 words,
Yeah.
I want you to pick just 5
Okay.
that really resonate with you.
Yeah.
5 words that you think you could start using more consciously in your everyday life.
Okay.
Maybe it's convenient for making those polite requests or prioritize for setting those boundaries at work.
Yeah.
Or even bargain for bragging about your latest shopping score.
I like it.
Whatever words speak to you, I want you to make a commitment to use them this week.
All right.
See how it feels? Notice how people react.
Yeah.
I bet you'd be surprised at the difference it makes.
I love that challenge.
Me too.
It's a great way to, put these words into practice and see the power of nuanced language in action,
It's been action.
And who knows, you might even inspire others to start paying closer attention to their own word choices.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive into everyday English, let's leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
Language is a journey, not a destination.
Ooh, I like that.
There's always more to learn, more to explore,
Yeah.
and more ways to express ourselves.
I agree.
So keep those ears open, those minds curious, and those conversations flowing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, ready to supercharge your English vocabulary? We're talking not just good, but seriously impressive.
Yeah, like moving from okay to, whoa, they're eloquent.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We're going to equip you with 60 powerful words.
Words you can actually use, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't some dusty dictionary deep cut.
It's about sounding smarter and speaking more confidently in everyday life.
In emails, presentations, even just casual chats.
Think of it as your secret weapon to making a real impact with your words.
Love that. Okay, so let's break down this arsenal, starting with descriptive adjectives.
Ah, yes. The words that make your language pop.
Instead of just smart, you could say someone is astute.
Which implies, like, real sharpness, not just book smarts.
Right. It suggests good judgment, too.
Exactly. And that subtlety, that shift in word choice, changes how you're perceived.
Makes you sound sharper yourself, probably.
For sure. Like, imagine writing a business email. You describe a colleague as astute.
Ooh, subtle bragging.
It implies you see them as insightful, adds to their credibility. And yours, by association.
That's a great point. I never thought of it that way.
It's choosing the right tool for the job. Right.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb, would you?
Nope. Now, let's say you're describing something imaginative, fun.
Instead of just random, what could we use?
Whimsical comes to mind. Evokes playfulness, creativity.
Ooh, I love that. Paints a more vivid picture.
It's like adding a sprinkle of magic to your language.
Could it ever be bad, though? Like in a super serious setting?
Good question. It highlights how context matters.
Whimsical is great for creative writing, casual talk.
But maybe not a formal business report where straightforward is key.
So it's balance, right? Descriptive, but appropriate to the situation.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's power up. Talking verbs, action words.
Verbs, the engines of our sentences.
They gotta have oomph.
Yeah, how do we make them pack a punch?
Instead of supported an idea, say you bolstered it.
Bolstered sounds way more impressive, doesn't it?
Right. Not passive agreement, you actively strengthened it.
Like you added some muscle to that idea. What else makes us sound persuasive?
How about spreading information? Instead of just spread, use disseminated.
Ooh, disseminated. Sounds official, strategic.
Exactly. It implies wider reach, deliberate action.
Not just gossiping, I'm disseminating vital intel.
And that brings up a key point. The right verb clarifies meaning.
No room for misunderstanding, that's good.
Like, mitigate means reduce severity, while exacerbate makes it worse.
Huge difference there, yeah. The wrong verb can totally change what you meant. Okay, so we've got picture-painting adjectives, action-packed verbs. Now what about nouns, the brainy stuff?
Nouns, yeah, for intelligent conversations.
How do we sound smarter with nouns? Spill the secret.
Choose nouns that handle complex ideas subtly. Like, instead of a problem, you face a dilemma.
Dilemma does sound more sophisticated.
It suggests tough choices, no easy answers.
Not just a flat tire, it's a whole existential dilemma.
Right? Which can actually be helpful sometimes.
Oh, how so?
Say, in a business meeting, a complex deal.
You frame it as a dilemma. What happens?
Encourages thoughtfulness, collaboration, instead of rushing to a fix.
Ah, so it's less confrontational, more intellectual vibe.
Exactly. Another one, instead of contradiction, use paradox.
Ooh, paradox. Like something that sounds impossible, but maybe it's true.
Exactly. A seemingly absurd statement that could still hold truth.
It's like, this can blow your mind, but makes you want to lean in and listen.
Right. Using these nouns shows you can handle complex concepts.
So it's not just sounding smart, it's thinking smart.
Now we got to talk about sounding like a native speaker, right?
Idioms, phrasal verbs. Those are tricky, but fun.
They add color, personality, but
Yeah.
tricky.
Meaning's not always literal. Got to be careful.
But mastering them, that's key to fluency.
Okay, hit me with some idioms I can use right away to impress people.
How about jump on the bandwagon to join a popular trend?
Jump on the bandwagon. Perfect for all those things that suddenly everyone's doing.
Right, like a cultural wave you can't escape.
And it's not always negative, is it?
Sometimes it's just recognizing a good opportunity.
Like, hey, everyone's making sourdough bread. Maybe I should try it.
Okay, how about cut to the chase?
I hear that one a lot, but not 100% sure what it means.
Means get straight to the point, no wasted time.
Like a verbal shortcut. Skip the fluff, get down to business.
Precisely. Here's one for social situations. Break the ice.
Oh, like when you're meeting new people, it's awkward.
You do something to start conversation, ease the tension.
It's like metaphorically breaking that frozen barrier between you.
Exactly. And these are just the beginning. There are tons more out there.
But you said they can be tricky. What mistakes do people make with idioms?
Using them wrong or in the wrong situation.
Like break a leg. For good luck might not translate well in every culture.
Yeah, you got to be careful not to accidentally offend someone.
So it's understanding the culture behind the idiom, not just the words themselves.
Now, want to add some extra oomph to your sentences.
Okay, I'm listening.
We're talking adverbs for emphasis.
The seasoning, the spice, the drama. Bring it on.
One powerful one is adamantly.
Yeah.
Like, she adamantly refused to compromise.
Adamantly, that's serious conviction.
Right. You're drawing a line, not backing down.
Okay, that's intense. What about something more, like, deep and meaningful?
Profoundly works there. Deep impact, transformative.
So profoundly is more than just surface level. It really changes you.
Now, want to inject some caution. Little skepticism.
Ooh, good for those I'm not so sure moments.
Skeptically is your word.
Like he listens skeptically, raising an eyebrow.
Exactly. But remember, use adverbs carefully. Don't overdo it.
Right. Too much spice ruins the dish.
A well-placed adverb highlights too many just clutter things up.
So balance again, just like with everything else we've talked about.
Ready to dive even deeper? We've just scratched the surface here.
I'm so ready. My brain is already feeling more articulate.
Back for more. Excellent. Let's keep unearthing these vocabulary gems.
I'm so ready. Part 1 already has me thinking differently about adjectives, like, wow.
So let's add some more to your toolbox. How about meticulous?
Meticulous. That sounds very precise.
It is. Someone who pays incredible attention to detail.
Like more than the average person would.
Oh yeah, way more. A surgeon during an operation, that kind of focus.
Or, I don't know, someone organizing their sock drawer by color gradient.
Exactly. But it's not always positive, you know.
Oh, interesting. Too much of a good thing.
Depends on the context, right? Meticulousness can be great.
But if you're so focused on tiny details that you miss the big picture?
Then it becomes a problem. Like a manager who can't see the forest for the trees.
Okay, so balance again. It's a recurring theme here.
Life lesson and a vocabulary lesson, all in one.
I like it. Okay, what about the word candid? That seems popular these days.
Candid is all about honesty. Straightforward, even if it's a bit blunt.
So no sugarcoating, just straight talk.
Exactly. It can be refreshing, especially when people are often afraid to be direct.
So being candid is about being genuine, even if it makes some people uncomfortable.
It's valuing truth over, like, trying to please everyone.
Makes sense. Okay, now for a word that sounds intense. Vehement.
Ooh, yeah, vehement is powerful. It's feeling something strongly.
Like passionately arguing for a cause you believe in.
Exactly. But think about it. Could too much vehemence be bad?
Interesting point. Like if you're trying to win someone over.
And you come on too strong, might push them away.
So passion's good, but maybe temper it with a little logic and respect.
Think of a lawyer giving a closing argument.
They got to be vehement to defend their client.
But also calm and reasoned, or the jury won't buy it.
Okay, that's a good example. Balance, yet again.
Now for something unpredictable. Erratic.
Ooh, I relate to that one. Life feels pretty erratic these days.
Erratic is all over the place, no clear pattern.
Stock market, weather, my sleep schedule, all erratic.
But here's the thing. It's not always negative.
Oh, Really? Give me an example of good erratic.
Think about a jazz musician improvising a solo.
Their playing might seem erratic to someone who likes classical music.
But that's what makes it exciting. Unpredictable, keeps you on your toes.
Okay, so even words that sound negative can have a flip side.
Context is everything. Words are tools, you gotta know how to use them.
That's what I love about these deep dives. It's not just memorizing words.
It's understanding how language works.
Exactly. Now, more verbs. I need more action words.
Verbs are key. Remember, bolster and disseminate from part 1.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Here's one that's useful, but not in a good way. Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. That sounds like it makes things worse.
It does. The situation was exacerbated by, and then you give the reason.
Like adding fuel to the fire, making the problem even bigger.
You see it a lot in news, explaining complex issues.
Now, what about the opposite? Like making things better?
Mitigate is
Yeah.
your word. Reducing the severity of something.
Damage control. Not solving the whole problem, but lessening the impact. That's important in so many fields.
Disaster relief, yeah. Or even just everyday life, mitigating stress, arguments.
I need to use mitigate more. Sounds very in
Right.
control.
Now for one that makes you sound super smart. Scrutinize.
Scrutinize. That's careful examination, right?
Exactly. Looking for clues, details others might miss.
Detectives scrutinize a crime scene. Scientists scrutinize data.
It implies thoroughness, attention to detail, like you're using a magnifying glass.
Okay, that's a good one for when I want to sound impressive.
Now for something a bit sneakier, undermine.
Undermine sounds kind of shady.
It can be. Weakening something gradually, often secretly.
Like rumors undermining someone's reputation.
Exactly. Or constant criticism undermining someone's confidence.
It's subtle but powerful. You don't see it coming until the damage is done.
Let's switch gears to something more, I don't know, heartwarming.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Commiserate.
Yeah.
To share in someone's sorrow.
Commiserate. That's about empathy, right?
Exactly. When a friend is going through something tough, you commiserate with them.
It's that feeling of, I get it, I'm here for you. Very human.
Okay, last verb for now. Illuminate.
Illuminate makes me think of light bulbs, ideas.
It's about making something clearer, easier to understand.
Like a good teacher illuminates a complex topic for their students.
Or a well-written article illuminates a current event.
It's bringing something out of the darkness into the light.
Here, finally, a simple but important one. Reiterate.
Reiterate means to repeat something,
Right.
but for emphasis.
Exactly. To make sure it's really sunk in, no room for misinterpretation.
Like, I want to reiterate, this is very important.
Okay, so tons of verbs, each with its own flavor.
I'm feeling very empowered verb-wise.
Now, ready for some noun power? Level up those conversations.
All right, we've tackled those vivid adjectives, those dynamic verbs. We even dipped our toes into the world of idioms.
Right. But there's this other category of words, kind of like the unsung heroes of good communication.
The behind-the-scenes crew making everything run smoothly.
Exactly. Connector words. They might seem small, but they're essential.
Connector words. Okay, give me an example. What do they do?
They help guide your listener or reader through your thoughts, create a flow.
Ah, so without them, it'd be like a bumpy road all over the place.
Exactly. Choppy, disjointed, hard to follow.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these little words matter a lot.
They're like the architects of clear communication.
Okay, so which connector words should we be paying attention to?
Let's start with ones that signal a contrast, like shifting gears in your argument.
Ooh, I like that. Turning a corner, but smoothly.
Words like however, nevertheless, on the other hand.
However is definitely one I use a lot in writing.
It's a classic. Signals, okay, here comes a different perspective.
But what about nevertheless? It sounds more formal, maybe.
Nevertheless has a bit more oomph to it.
Like, despite what I just said, this other point still stands strong.
Exactly. It emphasizes that your argument is still valid, even considering counterpoints.
So if I'm in a debate, nevertheless is my secret weapon.
You got it. Now, on the other hand, is a bit different.
It sounds more like, let's look at both sides of this.
Right. It's more balanced, presents alternatives without necessarily picking a side.
Like, here's option A, and on the other hand, we have option B.
Perfect example. It encourages thoughtful consideration.
Okay, so we've got contrast covered. What else is there?
Adding information, building on what you've already said.
Like, and another thing, but fancier, right?
Words like moreover, furthermore, in addition.
Ooh, those sound impressive. layering those ideas, making the argument stronger.
Each one has a slightly different nuance, though.
Oh, like what? Give me the moreover versus furthermore breakdown.
Moreover adds weight to your argument. Like, this next point is even more convincing.
It's the mic drop moment, but for arguments.
While furthermore is more about expanding on the previous point.
Providing more detail, going deeper into that specific idea. So it's not just a random list of points, they're connected.
Exactly. Now, in addition is the most versatile, I'd say.
Just a simple way to add another piece of information.
Yeah, it's like, here's another thing to consider along with everything else.
Keeps the conversation moving smoothly. Okay, so contrast, addition. What else?
Cause and effect. Essential for clear reasoning.
Explaining how one thing leads to another.
Words like therefore, consequently, as a result.
These are like the logic connectors showing why things happen.
So instead of just stating facts, you're building a chain of reasoning.
But those words all sound kind of similar. What are the subtle differences?
Therefore is the most direct, like, this must be true because of what came before.
It's a very confident conclusion based on the evidence you've given.
While consequently suggests a more indirect relationship.
Like there might be other factors involved. It's not always so simple. Okay, so it's cause and effect, but with a bit more nuance.
Exactly. And as a result is somewhere in between, I'd say.
So we've got options, depending on how direct we want to be.
That's the beauty of language, right? So many tools to choose from.
This has been amazing. Seriously, my brain is buzzing with all these new connections.
That's what we aim for. And remember, the more you pay attention to these words,
the more I'll start using them naturally without even thinking about it.
You got it. It becomes second nature.
Well, I feel equipped to go out there and conquer the world, one connector word at a time.
That's the spirit. Remember, the power of language is in your hands.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into powerful words. We hope you've enjoyed this linguistic adventure.
And until next time, keep those words flowing. Keep those connections strong.
All right, let's dive into something you use every day, but you probably never really think about. Words. The top 100 most common words in the English language.
Yeah, we're using the Oxford English corpus, right? It's this huge database of text.
So we're not just like skimming the surface here.
No.
This is a deep dive into these words, exploring the patterns and insights that they can reveal about us and how we communicate.
What I think is really fascinating is that a lot of these words, a lot of these common words are incredibly old.
Yeah.
Like fossils.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
So first up, we got to talk about these things called function words.
Right.
Can you kind of explain to us what exactly those are?
So function words, think of them as like the glue that holds a sentence together. The words like the, of, and a, to.
Okay.
And you know what's remarkable is that they completely dominate the top 20 most frequent words.
It's funny to think about, like,
Yeah.
these little tiny words. They're like the most common words.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to have a conversation
Oh my goodness.
only using the top 20 words?
It'd be very difficult.
It would be quite a challenge.
But it highlights their importance
Right.
because they're so fundamental to the structure of our sentences.
And it's crazy to think about, too, you know, looking at this top 20, it's just like a sea of single syllable words.
Yeah.
Be, to, of.
Yeah.
Almost like our language evolved to be as efficient as possible.
And it's interesting too because when you consider that so many of these words
Yeah.
come from Old English.
Right.
Which is the language that was spoken in England before the Norman Conquest in 1066.
So for over 1,000 years.
I know. It's incredible.
These basic building blocks of sentences have just remained stable.
It's wild. Like through all the historical events and the cultural shifts and technological advancements.
Yeah.
And yet there they are.
These core elements have just endured.
Because they represent fundamental concepts that are essential to human experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, regardless of time or place.
So these function words we've kind of established, they're like the unsung heroes of our language.
Right.
But what about the words that carry like the real meaning, right?
Yeah.
The nouns, the verbs, and the adjectives.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can we learn from those?
That's where things get really exciting.
Okay.
Let's start with the nouns.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just looking at the list here.
Yeah.
The most common noun is time.
It is.
That's pretty telling, wouldn't you say?
Very.
I mean, it seems like we as humans, we're constantly preoccupied with this concept of time.
We are.
And then, you know, you have person, year, way, day. It's just all these concepts that shape how we view the world.
It was fascinating is that many of these common nouns have multiple meanings, which contributes to their frequency, right?
Okay.
Like, for example, way has 18 different meanings.
18.
18 listed in the dictionary.
Wow, that's like a linguistic Swiss Army knife.
I know, right?
No wonder it's so high on the list.
And then another reason is that they form the basis of so many common phrases. Think about it. Like on time, in time, last time, next time.
Right.
It's just woven into, the way we express ourselves.
Okay, let's shift gears.
Okay.
And talk about the action words, the verbs.
Yeah, so the verb.
What patterns kind of jump out at you there?
So the top 25 most frequent verbs are all one-syllable words. Be, have, do, say, get. Short, direct, to the point.
Why do you think these fundamental actions are represented by such simple sounds?
Perhaps because they're so primal. These verbs represent the most basic actions that we take: existing, possessing, performing, communicating, obtaining. They're the bedrock of human experience.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, let's talk about the adjectives.
Okay.
Those descriptive words.
Okay.
What tops the charts there?
Good.
Good.
Tristan.
Yeah, right?
Why good?
Why good? I mean, given that human history is full of conflict and hardship.
Right.
But maybe, it speaks to our innate desire for things to be positive. Or at least our tendency to frame our experiences that way.
Yeah.
To focus on the good.
Okay.
Even when faced with bad.
And what about some of the other adjectives on the list?
So we have new, first, last, long, great, little, old. It's like a basic set of crayons for coloring our world. Just enough to describe our basic experiences.
So we have these tiny efficient function words holding everything together.
Yeah.
And then we have these more descriptive nouns, verbs, and adjectives.
Yeah.
Kind of adding color and meaning
Exactly.
to our sentences.
Yeah.
It's like a perfectly balanced ecosystem.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, what does this all tell us about ourselves?
Right.
When we zoom out and look at the big picture, what can we learn? It's like, these words are artifacts from a forgotten civilization.
Right.
Offering us clues about, who we are.
We've been talking about how many of these words are super old.
Right.
What can we learn about the evolution of English?
Yeah.
By tracing the history of some of these words.
Let's take the word good, for example.
Okay.
Our most common adjective.
Yeah.
Its roots can be traced back to this Proto-Germanic word gudas, which meant fitting or suitable or appropriate.
Interesting.
And it's just fascinating how the meaning has evolved over time to encompass this wider range of positive qualities.
Right. From morality to skill.
Exactly.
So good has been around for a while.
Yeah, for a long time.
Way before modern English.
Oh, yeah, way before it came about.
Absolutely.
Do we see similar patterns with other words?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Take the verb know.
Its origins can be traced back to the Proto-Indo-European root ene,
Wow.
which meant to know or to recognize. So that fundamental desire for knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That's deeply ingrained in our language going back thousands of years.
It's amazing how much history is packed into these simple words.
I know, it's really incredible.
We've talked about individual words, but what about the big picture?
Yeah.
What are some of the most striking patterns that you see in this list of 100 words?
As a whole.
Yeah.
One of the most prominent patterns is the prevalence of concrete, tangible concepts. Look at the most common nouns: time, person, year, way, day, thing, man, world, life, hand.
Okay.
Our language is very deeply grounded in the physical world.
That makes sense, especially when you consider how language evolved as a tool for survival.
Right.
Early humans, they needed to be able to communicate about hunting, gathering food, avoiding danger. So being able to talk about concrete objects and actions, it was essential.
Essential for survival.
And even though human societies have become much more complex,
Right.
that emphasis on the concrete world, it's still there.
It's persisted. Yeah.
But we do see evidence of abstract thought in there as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Words like know, think, want.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not all concrete.
It's not all concrete.
What's interesting, though, is how even those abstract concepts are often expressed using metaphors
Right.
that are rooted in the physical world.
Exactly.
Like when we say we grasp an idea or we feel our way through a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like our minds are constantly looking for ways to connect the tangible and the intangible.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So in a way, this list of 100 words, it gives us a window into how humans make sense of the world,
Right.
both physically and abstractly.
So it's not just a tool for communication.
No, it's much more than that.
It's a reflection of who we are
Exactly.
as a species.
Like our values, our priorities, our ways of thinking,
Okay.
they're all encoded in these words.
So if we want to better understand ourselves, we need to pay attention to
Language.
the language we use.
Exactly.
This deep dive has given us a really interesting look at the interplay between language, thought, and culture.
I agree.
We've covered so much ground already, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about this list of words that you find particularly intriguing?
Yeah, there are a few things actually.
Okay.
It's really amazing, how much we can learn about ourselves by just like paying attention to the language that we use every day.
Yeah.
It's almost like those optical illusions. Once you see the hidden pattern, you can't unsee it.
And one of the things that's really stood out to me is that language isn't static. It's constantly evolving, just like we are. If we were to make this list again like 100 years from now, it would look totally different.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, technology would advance.
Yeah.
Social norms would change.
Right.
New ideas would emerge. And language adapts to all of that. Like new words get invented. Old words take on new meanings.
Right.
And the frequency that we use words fluctuates.
So it's like a snapshot
Yeah.
of who we are right now.
It is, yeah.
But it's also a snapshot of who we were and like maybe a hint
Yeah.
of who we might become.
That's a great point.
Makes you wonder
Yeah.
if we could add a word to this top 100 list today.
Yeah.
A word that really captures
The essence of our current moment.
our current moment in history. What would it be?
What would it be?
Yeah. What comes to mind for you?
One word that immediately jumps out at me is connection.
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 Why that word?
Well, I mean, think about it. We live in a world that's more interconnected than ever before.
Right.
Technology has enabled us to communicate with people across vast distances. Access information from anywhere.
Yeah.
And that has really fundamentally changed how we live, work, and interact.
It's true. Like social media, online communities, even this deep dive.
Right.
It's all about connecting.
It's all about connecting with other people.
And I think beyond the technology, there's also a growing awareness of our interconnectedness. Just on like a human level.
Okay.
We're realizing that our actions have ripple effects.
Right.
They impact not just us, but also the people around us and the planet around us.
So connection captures both the technological and the human aspects of our current moment.
And it's a good reminder that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves.
It makes me wonder,
what word would our listeners choose to add to this list?
That is a great question.
So, dear listeners, we leave you with this final thought. If you could add a word to this top 100 list, a word that reflects the current state of the world, what would it be and why?
Yeah, think about it.
Share your word of the times
Love that.
with us on social media or with a friend.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
And that's it for this deep dive into the 100 most common words.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Until next time, keep exploring this fascinating world of words. All right. Ready to unlock some seriously impressive vocab? We're diving into 15 words that can really level up your English fluency. According to our source, these are the words that separate casual speakers from the truly fluent.
It's amazing how certain words just have that extra oomph, like they carry this aura of sophistication.
Exactly. So we're not just defining them, we're going deep, exploring their history, cultural impact, even their psychological power.
It's about more than just sounding smart, right? It's about unlocking a whole new level of expression.
Okay, first up is ubiquitous. It means being or seeming to be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
The example they give is, smartphones have become ubiquitous in modern society. pretty accurate, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. But it's interesting, right? Ubiquitous isn't just about physical presence. It's about ideas or phenomena that permeate everything. Like, think about the concept of data these days.
Oh, well, that's a good one.
It's not just on our phones anymore. It's in the cloud, driving algorithms, shaping how we experience the world. Data's become truly ubiquitous.
Right. It's like you can't escape it. It's not just about seeing it everywhere. It's about feeling its influence constantly.
Exactly. Like, it's almost like the air we breathe. You know, we don't really notice it until it's gone or polluted.
All right. Next word is ephemeral. This one means lasting for a very short time, fleeting.
Got it.
The source gives the example, fashion trends are often ephemeral, changing every season.
Oh, that's so true.
Right. Makes you think about how we perceive beauty and value. Do we appreciate things more because they're fleeting?
Oh, that is a good question. And it's not just objects, right? It's experiences too.
Yeah.
Like a sunset, a conversation, a moment of pure joy. These are all ephemeral, but they can have a lasting impact, don't you think?
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to altruistic. It means showing a disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. Unselfish.
Okay.
So the example is, her altruistic nature led her to volunteer at the shelter every weekend.
Makes you think, huh?
Yeah. Like, is altruism something we're born with, or is it learned?
That's the age-old question, right?
Yeah.
Nature versus nurture.
Right. Maybe it's a bit of both. Like, we may have a predisposition towards empathy, but our experiences shape how we act.
That makes sense. Okay, getting a bit darker now. Pernicious. It means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way.
Okay.
The source says misinformation can have a pernicious impact on society.
Oh, especially these days.
Definitely. It's not always a blatant lie, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a twist of the truth that slowly erodes trust.
It's like a slow-acting poison almost. It weakens its victim gradually. Think about historical propaganda.
Yeah.
It wasn't always straight-up lies. It was carefully crafted narratives playing on fears and prejudices. It's scary how effective it can be.
Absolutely. All right, time for a slightly more positive one.
Yeah.
Prolific, meaning producing something abundantly. Fertile.
Okay.
They highlight Shakespeare, saying Shakespeare was a prolific writer, producing dozens of plays and sonnets.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Right. But it's not just quantity, it's the quality and impact of the work. Absolutely. Think of someone like Leonardo da Vinci. Painter, sculptor, inventor, scientist. His mind was overflowing with ideas.
It really makes you wonder, what are the conditions that foster that kind of prolific creativity?
Right. Is it personality, environment, a bit of divine inspiration? Who knows? Maybe a unique mix of everything.
Fascinating. Okay, this next one might raise a few eyebrows. Sycophant. A person who tries to win favor from wealthy or influential people by flattering them.
Oh, the classic sycophant.
Right. They give the example, he's such a sycophant, always agreeing with the boss just to get a promotion.
It's not always about career advancement, though, is it? Sometimes it's social status, wanting to be part of the in crowd.
True. But you're right. True power and influence rarely come from just being a sycophant.
Nope. People can usually see right through it.
Okay, get ready to feel brainy. Esoteric, meaning intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest.
Interesting one.
So the example here is, quantum physics is an esoteric subject that few people truly understand.
Very true.
Right. It's something complex, but also incredibly fascinating.
It's like finding a hidden door in a familiar house, you know?
Yeah.
You know there's something cool behind it, but you need the right key to unlock it.
Oh, I love that analogy. Okay, this one might be a mouthful. Obfuscate, meaning to make something obscure, unclear, or unintelligible.
Okay.
They say, the politician obfuscated his response to avoid answering directly.
Classic.
Right, it's like a magician using misdirection.
Exactly. It's a smokescreen of words, leaving you confused. And it's not just politicians. We see it in marketing, legal documents, even everyday conversations when people are avoiding confrontation.
Totally. This next word has a sense of simplicity. Austere, meaning severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance.
Got it.
They give the example, monks often live in austere conditions with few possessions. But it's interesting, austerity can be both appealing and repelling.
Right. Like for some, it represents discipline, self-control, a rejection of excess. But for others, it can feel cold, harsh, even punishing.
It's all about perspective, right? What's liberating for one person might feel constricting for another.
Exactly. That's what's so great about language. Let's just explore these nuances.
Absolutely. Speaking of different perceptions, next up is fastidious, meaning very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail.
Okay.
The example is, she is a fastidious editor spotting even the tiniest mistakes.
I can relate to that.
Right. It's a blessing and a curse.
Imagine having a really fastidious roommate, always tidying up, double-checking everything. Could be a bit much, right?
I can imagine. Okay, I think we can all relate to this one. Lethargic, meaning affected by lethargy, sluggish and apathetic.
We've all been there.
The source says, after staying up all night, I felt lethargic all day.
Yep.
Super relatable, but important to note that persistent lethargy can be a sign of something more serious.
Absolutely. Don't just ignore it if it's going on for a long time.
This next word is all about generosity. Magnanimous, meaning very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful than oneself.
Okay.
The example they give is, despite losing, Hughes was magnanimous in congratulating the winner.
Shows real character.
It does, right. It makes you think about humility and sportsmanship.
It's about recognizing that there's more to life than winning or losing. It's about acknowledging others even when you're disappointed. It's a quality we could use more of these days.
Absolutely. Okay, getting a bit mysterious now. Clandestine, meaning kept secret or done secretively, especially because illicit.
Ooh, intrigue.
Right. The example is, they held a clandestine meeting late at night.
Love it.
So clandestine activities aren't always spy stuff, right? They can happen in everyday life when there's a need for secrecy.
Definitely. Like, imagine activists organizing a protest in a place where it's dangerous. They might have to meet in secret, communicate in code. Their actions might be clandestine, but their motives could be noble.
That's a good point. Okay, last word for this part. Mitigate, meaning to make something less severe, serious, or painful.
Okay.
The example is pretty straightforward. Wearing a seatbelt mitigates the risk of injury in an accident.
Practical, but important.
Right. And think about its applications in other areas, like climate change. We can mitigate its effects through reducing emissions and investing in renewable energy. Or in economics with social safety nets and job training programs.
It's about being proactive, recognizing risks and taking action.
Exactly. We can't always prevent bad things from happening, but we can try to lessen their impact. It's a valuable mindset.
For sure. Welcome back to our vocab exploration. Ready for more word power?
Absolutely. It's amazing how much depth these seemingly simple words have.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. More to discover with each layer.
Love that. Okay, so up next we have austere, meaning severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance.
You know what comes to mind? Ancient Sparta. Their whole society, famous for warriors. They value discipline, self-denial, rejecting luxury.
Oh, interesting.
And their architecture, their way of life, it all reflected that. Fascinating how a culture's values can show up in their language and surroundings, right?
Totally. The source gives the example, monks often live in austere conditions with few possessions. But it's funny, austerity can be seen as both positive and negative, right?
Oh, for sure. For some people, austerity means freedom, freedom from material things, from the pressures of always wanting more. It lets you focus on what really matters. But for others, it can feel like you're being deprived, like you're missing out on the comforts that make life enjoyable.
It's like, imagine a room that's completely bare, just white walls and a single chair. Some people would find that peaceful. Others would find it cold and empty.
Exactly. It really comes down to each person's values, right? What one person finds liberating might feel oppressive to someone else.
Next up is fastidious, meaning very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail. I think our detail-oriented listeners will appreciate this one.
Well, yeah. I think of architects or engineers. They have to be so precise in their calculations and designs, making sure everything is perfect so the structures they build are safe.
The source uses the example, she is a fastidious editor, spotting even the tiniest mistakes. And it makes me think fastidiousness is often linked to professions where accuracy is crucial.
It's not just about being organized, though. It's deeper than that. It's like a need for things to be just right, a drive for excellence, which can be great, but also a bit challenging sometimes.
Imagine working on a project with someone who's super fastidious. They might drive everyone crazy with their attention to detail, but ultimately their input could make the whole project better.
True. It's about finding that balance, striving for excellence without getting stuck in perfectionism.
Speaking of getting stuck, our next word is lethargic, meaning affected by lethargy, sluggish, and apathetic.
We all know that feeling, don't we?
The source says, after staying up all night, I felt lethargic all day. Pretty relatable, I think.
Oh, yeah. But sometimes, lethargy can be a sign of something deeper, like burnout, depression, maybe even a medical condition.
It's like imagine feeling lethargic for weeks on end, no matter how much sleep you get. That's when you need to pay attention and maybe talk to a doctor.
Exactly. Don't just brush it off as being tired. Sometimes your body's trying to tell you something's up.
Now, for a word that's all about generosity and forgiveness, magnanimous, meaning very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful than yourself.
I think magnanimity is a quality we often see in people who have overcome big challenges in life. They faced hardship, experienced loss, and they've come out of it with a deeper understanding of people. They're more empathetic and compassionate.
The example the source gives is, despite losing, he was magnanimous in congratulating the winner. That's real sportsmanship.
Imagine a leader, after a really tough election, reaching out to their opponent to work together. That's magnanimity, right?
Right.
Rising above the political battles and remembering we're all human.
It's a good reminder that true strength isn't about dominance. It's about forgiveness, empathy, building bridges instead of walls.
Okay, ready for a bit of mystery? Our next word is clandestine, meaning kept secret or done secretively, especially because illicit.
Oh yeah, this one always makes me think of spy novels. Secret agents meeting in dark cafes, secret codes, missions under the cover of darkness.
The source uses the example. They held a clandestine meeting late at night. Gets your imagination going, doesn't it?
But clandestine stuff doesn't always have to be about spies. It happens in everyday life too, right? Anytime there's a need for secrecy.
Think about activists organizing against a dangerous regime. They might have to meet in secret, be careful about how they communicate. Their actions might be clandestine, but their reasons could be really important.
Good point. So it's not always about doing something bad. It's about keeping it hidden for whatever reason.
Now let's talk about mitigate, meaning to make something less severe, serious, or painful.
This one's pretty practical. The source says, wearing a seatbelt mitigates the risk of injury in an accident. Simple action, big impact.
Exactly. And think about mitigating things like climate change. We can do that by reducing emissions, using renewable energy, or in economics, mitigating the effects of hardship with things like safety nets and job training.
It's about being proactive. We can't always stop bad things from happening, but we can try to lessen the damage.
Absolutely. It's a powerful way to approach problems.
Okay, last word for this part, and it's a doozy. Nefarious, meaning wicked or criminal.
This one sends shivers down my spine. It's like pure evil lurking in the shadows.
The source gives the example. The villain's nefarious plan was finally revealed. Classic villain moment.
But nefarious things happen in real life too, right? And often it's people in positions of power who abuse that power for their own gain.
Like corrupt politicians who only care about enriching themselves, or CEOs who prioritize profits over people and the environment.
Those aren't just greedy actions, they're morally wrong. They completely disregard the well-being of others.
It's a reminder that we have to be careful, hold people accountable, and never ignore injustice. Back for more amazing vocabulary. We're unlocking the final 5 words in our vault. These are the words that can truly elevate your communication, make you sound like a language pro.
I'm excited to dig into these last few words. They're really interesting.
All right, let's jump right in. Our next word is prolific, which signifies producing something in large quantities. Art, ideas, inventions, anything that comes from that creative spark.
I got it.
The source uses the example, Shakespeare was a prolific writer, producing dozens of plays and sonnets. What do you think? What drives that level of creative output?
It's a great question. Is it pure talent or maybe discipline, that constant search for inspiration?
Right. Is it something you're born with, or is it something you can develop?
Maybe it's a bit of both. Some people seem to be naturally more in tune with the world, They absorb experiences and turn them into art.
That's interesting.
But then you also have those who make it a habit, a daily practice. They show up and create, even when they don't feel inspired.
Oh, it's almost like a muscle, right? The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah, I like that analogy. The more you create, the easier it becomes.
Okay, get ready for this one. It's about flattery and manipulation. It's sycophant, a person who tries to win favor from wealthy or influential people by flattering them.
Ah, the sycophant, a timeless character, right? Always trying to climb that social ladder.
The example they give is, he's such a sycophant, always agreeing with the boss just to get a promotion.
It's not always about career advancement, though, is it?
You're right.
Sometimes it's that desire to be seen as part of the in crowd, to feel important by association.
True. But I think most people can see through it, you know? Real power doesn't come from just being a sycophant.
No, it doesn't. Authenticity and integrity are way more valuable in the long run.
Okay, get ready to feel your brain expand. Esoteric, meaning intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest.
Okay.
The example is, quantum physics is an esoteric subject that few people truly understand.
Makes sense.
It's this idea that even within fields that we think we understand, there are levels that are just beyond most of us.
It's like there's this whole world of knowledge out there, but only certain people have the keys to unlock it.
Exactly. It's humbling, but also kind of exciting, right? There's always more to learn.
That's what makes it an adventure.
Okay, time for a word that's all about confusion.
Obfuscate, meaning to make something obscure, unclear, or unintelligible.
Okay.
The example they give is, the politician obfuscated his response to avoid answering directly.
Oh, classic politician move.
Right. It's all about creating confusion, diverting attention, and it's not just politicians who do it. Think about complicated legal contracts or marketing campaigns that make big promises but are actually quite vague. It's like they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be critical of the information we're given, you know? Question things, seek clarity, especially when things seem deliberately confusing.
Developing those critical thinking skills is more important than ever these days.
And finally, we come to our last word, one that embodies pure wickedness. Nefarious, meaning wicked or criminal.
Oh yeah, that's a heavy one.
The source gives the example. The villain's nefarious plan was finally revealed.
Right out of a movie, huh?
But nefarious acts don't just happen in fiction. They happen in real life, too.
And sadly, it's often people in positions of power who commit them, abusing that power for their own gain.
Think about dictators throughout history who caused so much suffering and death.
Their regimes were based on lies, manipulation, a complete lack of respect for human life.
It's a sobering thought, but it's a reminder to stay informed, to hold those in power accountable, and to never be silent in the face of injustice.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And there you have it. We've reached the end of our vocabulary deep dive.
What a journey. We've gone from everyday words to words that are rarely used, from the positive to the, well, downright nefarious.
We've explored the history, the psychology, the impact these words have. But more importantly, we've seen how language can be a powerful tool. It helps us understand each other, connect with each other, and make the world a better place.
I think that's a great takeaway.
So to our listeners, go out there and use these words. Explore them, play with them, let them enrich your conversations. And remember, the journey of learning never really ends. There are always new words to discover and new ways to express ourselves. Until next time, happy exploring.